Hey, Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Hakodash, the ones head apostles of great millstone, and showing true brothers in the highways and byways and the works sincerely and faithfully, and continually fighting the good fight of faith, Lord willing, we're found in that number. All right, so this is going to be a real quick one based on the nuclear treaty talks America's having with Iran and several other nations. All right, so this was just hot off the press, a couple of days ago. And basically, a little bit of background. When Donald Trump got into office, he put the kibosh on this nuclear treaty deal with Iran and several other countries back in 2015. He put the kibosh on that. So now that Joe Biden's back in office, now they're coming back together to reestablish the framework of this treaty. All right. So just a brief synopsis of what we have here. It says the Iran nuclear deal framework was preliminary framework agreement reached in 2015 between Islamic Republic of Iran and a group of world powers, the P5+1, the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, the United States, the United Kingdom, Russia, France, China, plus Germany and the European Union. All right. So these are the nations that are involved. And what's so interesting here is the fact that the framework of this whole thing is these are the nations coming in alliance with America. Okay? But the scriptures are gonna have, the final say as to what this is all about. So as you look at this picture here, it's all these nations, they're all, in league with one another. So let's go to the scripture here. This is Obadiah 1. I'm going to start at 6. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Okay? These now are in confederate with one another. Okay? Now let's look up that word confederacy. All right. Let me go here. Look up the word confederate. It says, joined by an agreement or treaty. All right. So this is exactly what's taking place here. Let me see if I can get that back. Okay. This is exactly what's taking place here. Joined by an agreement or a treaty. All right. So we know that all these nations are going to do what? It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Right? So all these nations right now, even though they're shaking hands in agreement with this treaty, they're going to deceive you. Okay? And it says, and prevail against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. All right. So when the Lord really sets the stage for this place to fall and fall miserably by the means of those thermonuclear missiles, these nations are going to come up against thee. Why? Because let's keep reading. It says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? It says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mountain of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Why? This is the reason why. For the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Okay? So at the end of the day, all these things that are going to be happening to this place, Babylon the Great, or the great Satan, if you will, all the things going to be happening. Why? Is for the violence against thy brother Jacob, and the sins that it's committed. Okay. Now these nations know who you are. They know what you've done. They know what you're doing. Okay? So let me get this here. Another quick video here.
Okay, some very interesting analysis from the Israeli press themselves. We're going to move on to another of our top stories, talking about those nuclear negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Getting very close to that deadline now, aren't they?
Well, a spanner has been thrown in the nuclear works about these negotiations, with the Republicans in the Senate in the United States actually sending a letter to Tehran saying, well, whatever Obama decides, we can bypass it. Let's look at this cartoon in Politico, which is hilarious, showing the Supreme Council of the Super Grand Ayatollahs with their Death to America mug, if you look carefully, saying, well, what can you make of such a letter? Don't trust the American president. And the main comment there, I know they're the great Satan, these Americans, but these guys are really crazy devils. Let me move on to...
So let it be said, man. Let it be said, these nations, they know exactly who you are. The great Satan. And it says what? These guys are real crazy devils. You know? And that's not spoken out of the mouth as they call a black Hebrew Israelite. Okay, Esau knows what's going on. These other nations know what's going on. You know, but the problem is, here in America, they only put and plaster over the news what they want you to hear. Okay, so let's go. Let me go to another quick scripture. This is Revelation 12:9. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, all right, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right? So the key points being, the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. So these other nations know exactly who you are, man. Why? How do they know? Because the scriptures tell you who you are. You just have to have, the Lord just has to give you the understanding and the eyesalve to receive it. You know, the Lord is not just dealing with the nation of Israel, you know. The Lord is dealing with every nation on the planet in some shape or fashion. You see? And this was just a quick talking point here. How America has always been negotiating some type of missile or some type of arms deal. Okay? And why is this? Because these super top elites, they truly know and understand what the outcome is going to be for Babylon the Great, man. They know that this place is going to be wiped out and off the face of the earth by thermonuclear missiles. Okay? I'll just read a quick little bit of this. It's in the second paragraph. It says, in March 1986, negotiations between the United States and the Soviet Union resumed, covering not only the INF issue, but also the separate strategic arms reduction treaty, which is called START. It says, in space issues, nuclear and space talks. In late 1985, both sides were moving towards limiting the INF system in Europe and Asia. On 15 January 1986, Gorbachev announced a Soviet proposal for a ban on all nuclear weapons by 2000. Now we know that didn't happen. Why? Because the prophecies have said and spoken that this place is going to be hit with over 20 million missiles, man. Okay? But at that time, you know, this was the proposal by Gorbachev. And it says, which included INF missiles in Europe. This was dismissed by the U.S. and countered with a phased reduction in INF launches in Europe and Asia, with a target of none by 1989. So be that as it may, all being said, America has been making deals, you know, treaties, because they know at the end of the day, and this is Ronald Reagan now, we know what Ronald Reagan has said concerning the threat of outside forces. So they know, man. They know. All right, so I'm gonna end it with that. This was real quick. I'd seen, this meeting of the minds, if you will, to establish the Iranian nuclear deal in the framework of how it was supposed to be set up, getting back on track with this treaty, which also gives grounds and support that the book of Obadiah says, all they that was at peace with thee, all thy confederates that was at peace with thee. These are those nations, man. These are those people that are going to come and turn against you and launch missiles over at you and destroy you. All right, so Lord willing, brothers, I'll see you in another show. I say shalom.